Tough questions, bombshell testimony, and a motion denied. A judge refusing to amend the gag order against former President Trump in his New York criminal trial. This comes after Stormy Daniels finished her testimony on the witness stand after a second day. The adult film star has detailed an alleged Lake Tahoe encounter with former President Trump while Trump continued to rail against court proceedings.
This is purely and simply election interference. There is no case.
Jerika Duncan joins us now from outside the courthouse. Jerika, good to see you. I know you've been there all day reporting. So we have lawyers for former President Trump bringing several issues before the judge at the end of the day. What can you tell us?
So the first issue we should talk about is the gag order. Trump's defense team wanted to modify that, but the judge said no. He actually said that it is my concern that other witnesses will see your client, referring to Trump, doing whatever he intends to do, saying Juan Merchan. He said, I just can't take your word for it that it will be a response, not an attack. This is essentially Trump saying he wants the freedom, the right to respond to some of the things that Stormy Daniels said when she testified, but the judge mentioning right there that he does not trust that it'll just simply be a response and not an attack. So did not win on that argument. And then you had the issue of whether or not Karen McDougal would be testifying. The prosecutors acknowledged that they do not plan on calling her to the stand. This is significant because she's the woman who said that she had a nearly year-long affair with Donald Trump. And then you have the issue of the mistrial. That is something that the defense has argued from the very beginning, but now saying that they believe that this trial should end, and it should end in a mistrial because of some of the prejudicial things that have come up in reference to Stormy Daniels' testimony on Tuesday, really going beyond the scope of what they expected to hear from her regarding what she says happened back in 2006.
And Jerika, speaking of that testimony from Stormy Daniels, that wrapped up today. Today's cross-examination was pretty combative at times. What did she have to say?
You know, in the very beginning, it was clear that the defense wanted to paint Stormy Daniels as someone that was out for money. And she said early on that I wanted to tell the truth. And as far as getting money, that was part of the deal. When pressed about Daniels' desire to make money from her story, the defense attorney said, but you wanted to make more money. And she said, no. That's why I did 60 Minutes for free. But then the defense went on to talk about all of the opportunities that came after that interview. A book deal worth nearly $1 million, a reality show, merchandise that was being sold, a documentary that recently came out, essentially saying that for the last, almost 18 years, that Stormy Daniels, according to the defense, has used this story to make money. Another thing I thought that was interesting, Caitlin, is when Daniels acknowledged that she has written, acted in, and directed over 150 adult films, the defense stated, well, Daniels had a lot of experience making up stories involving sex. Daniels replied, no. Sex is real, and went on to say, if that story was untrue, talking about the story that she's told, I would have written it to be a lot better. At which point I was in the overflow room. A lot of people had reactions to that comment, and that was something we saw throughout, where she would kind of fight back when the defense would try to paint her as someone that was getting all of this money. She talked about, well, wait a minute, I had to pay my attorneys. I don't make all of the money when I'm signing these deals. She talked about the judgment that she lost and still owing money. And at one point even said that she's lost more essentially than she's gained by coming out and publicly saying that she had sex with the former president back in 2006.
There's so many details here, Jerika, and it's important to note that we don't have cameras in the courtroom, so we are grateful for your reporting and telling us what happened there. We also wrapped up the day with Trump's former assistant. What did we hear from her, and why is she testifying?
Yeah, so this is Madeline Westerhout, and she was a young person excited about working in the Oval Office. She was an executive assistant to Donald Trump and was able to sort of connect the dots when you think about what Michael Cohen has said regarding a meeting in the Oval Office back in 2017. Through emails and testimony, she was able to confirm that she remembers setting up a meeting around February of 2017 with Michael Cohen and the president. This will be crucial because Michael Cohen has said before that that is when they decided to figure out how he was going to get paid that $130,000 that he paid Stormy Daniels for the hush money. What was interesting, though, too, in terms of just painting a little bit of color, since you don't have cameras in the courtroom, is all day, you know, the president, former president, seemed to be frustrated, upset. At times he was closing his eyes. But when Madeleine Westerhout was testifying about how much she enjoyed working for the then president, how much she respected him, she got choked up, and you saw him sort of look at her and smile, almost doting on the fact that this was someone that was speaking up for him, and even said in court she didn't think that he was treated fairly, and talked about it in a book that she wrote regarding her experience as an executive assistant to the president at that time.
Wow, fascinating color from the courtroom. Drika Duncan, thank you so much for bringing it for us. And there is a new development in this case. The defense's motion for a mistrial has been denied.